welcome to the Am I the Bolcast podcast, Bolcast cast. I'm your host, Mike Carrozza, also known as Mark Carbonza, the author of the Am I the Bolus column over at commandersherald.com. Joining me, as always, are my two co-hosts all the way in the other side of the studio that's in another city. We've got the brewmeister himself. I credit him with having the best brew brain in the entire game, and I dare you to prove me wrong. I swear to God, I dare you. You know what? Don't do it if it's mean. Don't be mean to this guy. I think he's wonderful, and he's got a great brain for Matt. You know what? Just read his articles. The author of the writer of the How They Brew It column over at Commander's Herald, also known as Games Freak SA, Michael Solani joins. Hello, Michael. Hello.
Wow, Mike, you even sold me on myself.
Yeah.
I used to think I sucked.
And you don't.
But am I the bolus? That's the real question of this podcast, radio show. Radio show. We're on the radio.
We're on the radio. We are on the radio. And speaking of being on the radio, we've got our producer joining us all the way from the same studio in the other part of a different country. Just completely, we're all in the same room, but not. Morgan Sanchez joins us. Hi, Morgan.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all. Is that an indication of what part of the country we're in? Oh, boy.
It is. We're in the Midwest.
That's actually kind of accurate, to be honest.
Is it really?
Yeah.
As a Canadian, I'd never guessed that.
You got a lot of people who say, like, y'all.
Okay, y'all makes sense. Y'all is like American, but it's the howdy. Howdy, y'all. Together, especially. That's only one state that has claim to that. And you know which one I'm talking about. We could say it on 3. 1, 2, Delaware.
I like not only that you said something that was completely wrong, but also that neither of us said anything at all.
Yeah, well, I did it because I perfectly set up the joke. Guys, you can check out my stand-up comedy wherever you get your comedy.
Bring a defibrillator.
Have I? Oh, you. Oh, boy. Censor it, Ken.
Bring me and Solani a cob of corn.
A cob of corn. Oh, God. Is that Midwestern gabagool?
You ever been to the State Street Comedy Club in Madison?
Madison on the State? No, I have not. Comedy on the State. Yeah.
Because they make you buy 2 drinks.
Yes, that's pretty standard.
I think I would need them.
You need them? Okay.
Damn, that was a very bolus move there, Solani.
Why am I being such a jerk to you? You're
because
funny.
You're the bolus.
Being mean.
You are the bolus.
Oh my God. Podcast's over, guys. The spoilers are already out.
Yes.
It's not the ones that are happening right now. There's not even any spoilers happening, but I'm sure that they will be by the time this releases.
By the time this comes out, we'll probably have Caverns of Ixalan in hand. Like, that's going to be out already. Are you doing Dr. Evil right now?
No.
Doctor
I'm doing
who?
a signal.
Doctor who?
Doctor Who? I'm Dr. Evil.
Oh, that switchboard is lighting up, y'all. We've got a caller on the line. I don't know who it is, but they won't stop.
Let's check out this caller, y'all. Let's do it. Here we go. Off to the caller time. You're listening to Am I the Bolcast, the podcast where you wonder, was I a bit of a jerk there? And the answer is, I don't know, man. Probably, yeah, you should chill a little bit. It looks like we got a caller on the line. Caller, who are you? Who are you calling? Where are you calling from?
Hey. Yeah, I'm a long time listener, first time caller. My name is VeggieWagon, coming from the Pacific Northwest. Just a big fan,
Oh, I know this guy, VeggieWagon from the Decked Out EDH gameplay series. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just I feel kind of nervous being on the call and everything.
Yeah, nervous on the call, but not nervous. The fun part about, look, I'm not going to lie to you. Decked Out, you're a lot of the charisma on the show. You're a jokey boy. I like that about you. You're a fun little guy. It's great. You guys are always joking around. And your co-host, sometimes she gets in the tank and she's a little focused, but you're like, when am I going to riff? Time to riff, buddy. It's a good time. How long you guys been doing the gameplay channel for?
We just hit our 1-year anniversary.
Wow. What? That's just like recently. This is insane. That's awesome. Wow, a full year. And what have you learned?
I have learned that that sometimes dropping everything and moving across the country to play a game with little cardboard rectangles on the internet is the right thing to do.
So wait, you weren't even in the Pacific Northwest before you dipped out there.
Nope. And
oh
in
my
fact,
God.
This is since this is our 1-year anniversary, but I was not even out here for like the first 3 months of the show. It was like meeting up at events or like taking a week and a half trip. But yeah.
That's wild. So okay, so I'm guessing MTG Nerd Girl was out in the Pacific Northwest and you guys were like, let's team up, let's make it happen. Or was she also like, I don't know, I'm out east. Forget about it. Let's go up to the Pacific Northwest. Let's start a channel.
No, she was already out here, and I think it was as simple as we were having conversation about some content thing, and I was like, I could probably move out there at some point. And she's like, how serious are you about that? I was like,
I love that. That's a good feeling. That's a very good feeling, talking to somebody that, you know, who you respect and whose work you enjoy, and you're like, oh, you're serious? You want this bad too. Okay, that feels real good. Yeah, let's make it happen. So I'm guessing the channel was the motivating factor, or was it something like you were like, I need to change a life, Pacific Northwest where the game is made, you know, and you're like, let's get back close to the hub?
It was entirely the show. I mean, I'm not a stranger to like hearing something that sounds good and then just packing it all up and going. But yeah, there wasn't, I mean, all the rest of it, like, oh yeah, the game's made out there. Oh yeah, that's, you know, it's a cool place to be. All very secondary to like, oh, all right, let's make this thing.
Bit of a bonus. Yeah. What's your relationship with the game? When did you get to started with Magic the Gathering? When did you get gripped in?
Onslaught block.
Oh yeah.
It was just like I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I was playing Pokemon,
right?
Because there's, you know, they had the TV shows and I was a kid and that's what you did. And then I had some other friends that were like, look, we've got this game that doesn't have a TV show. And I was like, that looks stupid. and then here we are.
Yeah, here we are, a year after starting a gameplay channel based around the very game you called stupid. Let's get a sense of what you like as a player. It's kind of nice to see like you guys switch it up on the channel. You guys aren't always playing the same kind of decks. But for you, VeggieWagon, personally in your collection, what kind of decks are you most attracted to building? What gets your gears going?
I love a deck that presents a unique game experience for the opponents.
All right. Ooh, that gave me a little bit of a chill. I like that. That's very fun. What do you elaborate? Do you have an example of a deck that's in your arsenal right now that comes to mind immediately? What are you thinking?
I think my best representative of that is the very first deck that I played on Decked Out, and was already a deck that I had been playing like on streams and things. Mm-hmm. The commander is Rocco Cabaretti Caterer.
Okay, so the tutor in the command zone.
Right. That can be a very, very powerful deck.
Right.
But my deck, and I say this at the beginning of the game, the rule that I will always follow is the first creature I must tutor out every game is Tempting Worm.
Oh, wow. And it's a beautiful, one of the more iconic pieces of art from my childhood, I'd say. Like one of the more iconic, like, oh, the first time I saw this, like back in the day when I was like buying the magazines to find out what the prices were, like do like the puzzle of, hey, how do you win this turn? You got all this information.
Oh yeah.
Tempting Worm was just so sick looking. For those who don't know, Tempting Worm is a 5/5 worm for 1 and a green. Crazy stats. But it says when Tempting Worm comes into play, Each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, or land cards from their hand into play. That is a mess. That's so fun. So you're throwing Rocco down as a 5-drop from the command zone, basically. You're throwing, Rocco Cabaretti Caterer is a Naya commander with X in its cost, and when it enters a battlefield, if you cast it, you search your library for a creature card with that mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield. So Tempting Worm being 2 mana, you're only paying 5 mana for your commander, and then everybody at the table gets to basically dump their hand of all permanent types but battle and planeswalker. I guess they really got they had to name all the permanent types at the time, I think,
right,
for that card.
Yeah, no errata. So
no patching. Oh, so what's your kind of favorite part about that kind of deck? What's maybe a story that comes to mind of like your favorite thing that happened? Like how do you feel when you're playing that deck? What do you want from it?
I love the journey that everybody goes on, because it's like, okay, step 1, I will tell the table this is what I'm playing and this is what it does. Sometimes people will be like, oh, give me a second, I'm gonna switch decks. And then, okay, so it happens. So step 2, Tempting Worm hits the board, and everybody's like, okay, great, I put all my stuff on the board, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you feel great. Every opponent feels great because they prepped for this, like they mulled for big permanents. And then
gaming the game.
Step 3, they realize that this is more complex than it appears, because suddenly 3 of the 4 players are massive threats at the same time. And that is a thing that rarely happens in a game. You everybody takes turns being the threat, because one person plays the thing that is a problem, and then 3 players have figure out what to do about it, and that there's that rotation. But suddenly you have 3 loaded guns all pointed at each other, and one guy in the corner like, oops.
You like a little oops moment for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
So everybody else is a massive threat. How do you get out of a hole like that? What's the end game for you? Are you just kind of like gonna watch the world burn kind of vibe? Is that what you're going for?
Well, that's an interesting question, and maybe a good one for what we discuss. What the deck is now,
okay,
is it'll do the Tempting Worm thing, and then it attempts to bide some time, because you are for sure not the focus of the other 3 players at that moment. Okay. I'll build some resources off of cards that rely on the other people having more things. So like white has a lot of like, oh, people have more lands and you get a land, or the Keeper of the Accord, great. Mm-hmm. And then I will try to disrupt decorum, insurrection, spectacular showdown.
What's that new one from the Lord of the Rings set? Taunt from the Ramparts?
Yep.
It's
fantastic. It's got some other like copy an opponent's thing, or like threaten, that kind of effect. So
beautiful.
Then I get to also play with everybody's toys that they've put down for free.
Oh, that's pretty fun. I like that. It's very fun. I like the way you put it earlier, which is you want to what kind of drives your gears is kind of like presenting the opponents with a unique play experience. I feel like this is a very generous outlook on deck building. You know what I mean? You're not putting yourself as the primary joy haver, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like your focus is on outward experience and catering that to people who are going to have to, I don't want to say deal with what's going on, but to an extent, yeah. This kind of feels like the first thing that came to mind when you tied it together is like it's like a love language thing, you know? Like you get made a dish that you're like, this is one of my favorite things I've ever eaten. I hope to present this in the same way to some people so that they can experience this kind of joy as well. That's a pretty sweet way of thinking about it. I think That's very kind of you to not show up with stacks pieces, and it's I think what this episode's kind of central message would be is like create moments with your pals. It's the way to go. With not just your pals, even like new people to the pod. You know what I mean? It's just very cool. I like the angle that you come to this with. Now, this isn't the podcast where we talk about being the sweetie pie. Although our guest is a sweetie pie, I'm a sweetie pie. We're all a bunch of sweetie pies. But this is a podcast where we discuss a story about a time that you were maybe the villain, or that you were maybe a story about a villain in a pod with you, or maybe a pet peeve in Magic, EDH in particular, if you're so inclined. Let's get into that. What do you have for us today? What's something that comes to mind when I say all of that?
Okay, we discussed this Tempting Worm deck,
right?
And it presents a very unique experience for the table. But at its inception, it did not have a game plan to win. It simply was built to do the thing and then spectate. Okay. It was just like, hey, let me get this out, and like maybe through the rest of the game I'll play some other stuff or do some some weird things, but this does not have a plan to win. And so I think that is an interesting discussion on whether that is am I the bolus for perhaps breaking a cardinal rule of the game in not intending to win at all.
All right, Veggie, what do you think? Because I think that number one is kind of a question that is not one that I've had in the column even, because Am I the Bolus is a column that we launched at the inception of Commander's Herald. It's been going for as long as the website's been around, which is a couple years now, and it's been a weekly column for some time now, but before that it was like bi-weekly, taking some time off, etc. I get a lot of submissions. I've gotten a lot of submissions. I've written a lot of them up. Some of them I just can't because there are some. Hey, sometimes I just answer to the email, "You're a jerk," and that's gonna have to do it. Maybe don't email me about. Oh God, don't say it, Mike. Anyway, anyway, I'll say I've never gotten the "Am I the bolus for not having a built-in win con?" as a question. So I think that's really interesting, and I do want to touch on that. I think like it or not, Commander, you're going to want to have a win condition. Hopefully you like it, because if you win, that should be a good feeling. But, for the most part, Commander, you've got a legendary creature in your command zone. And so inherently, you technically always have one win con. As long as it is within reach of your resources, you have a win con in your command zone. You can attack. That's something that we've forgotten this day and age in Commander, is that there is a combat step and you got to use it. So there is that. That element is something that I don't feel like you can build a deck without a win condition without trying at this point, right? There's always the things you put in your deck, you're always going to have something to do. And you're going to have to play to win at a certain point, right? If you have the creature and you're not attacking with the creature, even though you have openings, then you're not, the win con doesn't come from your deck. It comes from inside the house, Yeah. So you gotta want to swing. So that said, I think that the Tempting Worm thing is kind of emblematic of a group hug deck, wouldn't you say? Like, this is very much a group hug kind of vibe. I wouldn't quite put it in group slug, because you're just kind of benefiting from other stuff that they're doing, but not without, giving them everything that they have. Let's see. I think I don't know how to fall on this, because I don't think that there isn't a win con. You have a 5/5 for 2 that keeps that can slam,
Okay, I guess I can't say that it doesn't have a win con, or I can't say that it cannot win.
Right.
But it was specifically designed to, I guess, not try isn't the right way to put it, but like,
right.
This deck did not have a plan after doing the thing.
Right. So doing the thing is a front end.
Right. Entirely focused on, oh, let me do this wild and crazy thing, but then I have no intention of winning this game.
Right.
After doing so. Like, sure, I could if the stars aligned, hit you 8 times with this
7
worm.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't have like those goad effects. It didn't have any reasonable way to try and win.
I see. So you were just kind of like, and ramp, tempting worm, and that's the game, folks. Now I'm going to try to get it back in my hand so I could do it again. Like,
exactly. It's like, let me just, and I'm just here to watch you, to see what you do to win the game.
Right.
Because I don't have that intention.
Right. I guess in this case, like you've since added the win cons. You've since added ways to kind of take advantage, kind of like do the use your their momentum against them kind of thing. Like maybe you've got a deflecting swap plan or a brash taunter plan for the creatures coming in. I feel like that should be, part of the package as far as, as the game progresses now. But are you the bolus for not building with a specific win con in mind, considering that so when you built this deck, were you kind of like, I'm building this deck to lose? Like, you're just like, I'm building this deck to see some cool stuff happen, and I'm going to lose. Is that kind of how you were thinking about it?
100%.
Okay, so why is that a problem? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not for anything. You're playing against 4 people. Everybody's goal is to have a good time, play something fun, have something new happen, and to win. I for a lot of people, winning is a big part of it. So if you're basically saying that their win percentage is just jumping by a decent amount just by virtue of you playing this deck and saying, hey, I'm going to do something silly and fun, and I hope you like it, but I'm not going to win. When it comes to building a deck where you're just like, I want this cool thing to happen, and I want to kind of give it to the table, and then for the rest of the game, I'm assuming you're not twiddling your thumbs. I'm assuming you're trying to do some other stuff that you're trying to maybe get the tempting worm out again, right? Anyway, I couldn't call you a villain here for this, but mostly also because Rocco's in the command zone. It's a tutor in the command zone. You can go get whatever you need, and if that's another creature to slam with, that's what you got. You got to slam, and that's a win con. You just got to slam. Veggie, we've gone for a lot of time. It's been fun talking to you. It's just it's so easy to lose track of time when you're talking about a thing that you enjoy so much. Before letting you go, caller, before letting you get off the line here, tell us where we could find you, what you'd like us to check out, and if you've got any events coming up soon that you want to plug.
Yeah. You can always find me on Decked Out on YouTube, co-hosting with MTG Nerd Girl. You can find me at VeggieWagon on most internet social media holes. And yeah, if you end up looking me up on there, I do a lot of like MTG comedy style stuff.
Yep.
I will be at every event ever that is coming up. You can see me at Command Fest Orlando, at MTG Summit, at MagicCon Vegas, DreamHack Atlanta.
My God.
That's
year.
That's the life now. So go to all of those with me. And I guess my last plug is a slightly cooler take that you won't now get to respond to because we're out of time. Dockside, I won't tell you not to play it, but I think you will have more interesting games, and your entire table will have a much better time. Just tell people if it is in your deck at the beginning of the game.
Okay, well there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us, VeggieWagon. We're gonna cut back to Michael Solani in Solani's Corner for a little surprise, because I don't know what he's gonna talk about yet. Wowee, what a chat. Thank you so much for calling in, VeggieWagon. Please, everybody, check out EDH Gameplay channel, Decked Out, hosted by VeggieWagon and his co-host, MTG Nerd Girl. Fantastic channel. They do a lot of really fun stuff. They had the Doctor Who decks early, and they played with Gavin Verhey and Airball. It was a great game. Lots of stuff happened. Veggie had a crazy turn. I don't want to spoil too much, but you guys should definitely check out the video. And I really appreciate their little confessional cam moments where they talk directly to the camera, because it does feel like I'm hearing a little secret from a friend. So please watch Decked Out EDH Gameplay Channel with VeggieWagon and MTG Nerd Girl.
Man, I just can't get past the name. Every time I hear VeggieWagon, I think of that cabbage merchant from Avatar. The one that Aang always barrels into him, and he's like, "My cabbages!"
Oh, okay. I did not realize which Avatar you were talking about until you mentioned Aang.
It's the one with blue people.
Oh, wait. Is it? Hold on a second. Now I'm confused again.
The good one.
I've never seen... Would you believe I've never seen the Avatar, the blue people one? The James Cameron triumph of cinema?
I can't believe I'm on a podcast with you. Haven't even seen Avatar. It's like saying you haven't even seen The Godfather.
Oh, I've seen The Godfather, but that was first grade. You know, they made us watch it. I'm still not over the cob of corn thing we said before. So before we get yeah, a little bit of gob of corn. Come on, you're telling me that nobody out there is gonna latch onto that? I'm gonna be signing cobs of corn whenever we go to someplace. Wow, how audacious of me to assume that I'm gonna be signing anything.
My name is Mike Carozza. Lend me your ears.
I hate it. I'm laughing, but it's to mask the rage. Let's sum this up for us. Morgan, hit us with the question. What is VeggieWagon really asking?
Well, he's not just asking for a cob of corn, but he's also asking, am I the bolus for not having a win con?
Not having a win con. I think I laid it out pretty good in the call earlier where I just said, if you have a creature in the command zone, that's your bare minimum win con as long as you're slamming. Like, you know what I mean? As long as you're playing your commander and attacking with it and getting, that's a win con.
But how fun is it to just not play cards on your turn and pass the turn and then play all your cards on your opponent's turn and never go to combat?
That's a separate bolus conversation, in which case you absolutely are.
Wait,
you can't play blue. Blue's illegal.
Blue is illegal. That's the official stance of the podcast. Blue is illegal. Green's too good. White is better than anybody thinks. And red is just going through a change. But black has always been and will always be the best. Am I the bolus for not having a win con? I'm not going to weigh in on it just yet because we have to explain the voting system. Morgan, why don't you tell our esteemed listeners, folks who might be driving in their cars on their way to something, or just doing some chores, or they have all the lights turned off and they're lying down on the floor with headphones in, and they're just listening to us as if we're in some sort of sensory deprivation tank, and they're so in on this conversation.
For all of those people, we are just going to put in the sound of a car horn honking.
No, we're not. Can I please don't. I forbid it. Put something silly like a couple chickens or whatever. Oh, chickens and cars. Oh, give the chickens cars. Okay, I'm back on board with the hordes. Morgan, tell everybody how we vote.
We've been getting a lot of voicemails from you guys from our last episode asking, is there a simpler way to explain the voting system? And not only that, but we've gotten a couple calls from some mathematicians at Harvard wondering, is there a way to talk about this? We can put it in the news, put some ads on it, and get some cash from this. And so Carozza and I had a little bit of a chit chat before Solani came on here, so I'm not even entirely sure if he's able to get it, but that's going to be our floor. So Our voting system starts thusly.
It's very complicated.
My vote for the bolus counts for a singular point.
That's right.
Solani's vote counts for a singular point.
Correct, as well.
Carozza's vote counts for 3 points.
Okay, see how complicated that is. Like, we'll repeat it just so you know. Morgan, how many votes does your vote count for?
Ooh, hang on.
It's like basketball, right?
The one vote, just
the one. Okay.
Hang on, just give me a second. I think it's the one.
Just the one. Okay. It is the one. Michael, your vote counts for how many?
1, I think.
Very good. And my vote counts for 3. So we'll be breaking down this question and going to a vote. Morgan, how do you feel about VeggieWagon not having a win con?
Well, I'm already set on his side because I love Tempting Worm. I know you guys were talking about how you came into the Onslaught block and Odyssey block. I'm a Threshold girl. I played Psychotog. I did the whole bit. It was awful because I was like 11 at the time. But I think not having a win con, there's a bit of nuance there. If you're playing Tempting Worm to just kind of see what happens when everybody throws out all their artifacts and enchantments and creatures, I think that's fun. I think that's fun because, you know, you're tossing stuff out, you're attacking with stuff, you're turning shit sideways, hopefully. So I'm going to have to say that Veggie's not the bolus in this one because I think Tempting Worm is fun, but I'm biased.
But is Tempting Worm a win con?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a 5/5. Thank you,
It's
Morgan.
a 5/5 for 2 for it's all upside. Tempting Worm, all upside.
Tempting Worm, notably, no downside to it.
All win.
Michael Solani, what do you think of this question?
Look, if not having a win con in your deck is a sin now, I'm going straight to hell. And like the bottom tier of it too, you know? Like I play decks that don't do anything except transform auras from creatures into equipment, but they're still auras, so that you can have an aura that's an equipment on your creature. That doesn't win games.
It's still not as complex as our voting system, by the way.
Yeah, that's also very...
There's like 5
simple
layers involved.
Right. And that's what gives you life. But it does it mean that you don't have a win con when you do something like that?
I think that not having a win con is tantamount to just not drawing your win con, right? It's just you're not
Right.
going to draw your win con 100% of the time. You just need to let your opponents know that, hey, you're going to be actually playing a 3-person game. And I'm here to just
Vibes.
be a malevolent little pixie sprite that makes things happen.
Ooh, Michael Solani, a malevolent little pixie sprite.
Please do not draw fan art.
No fan out allowed. Well, why'd I say it like I said? No fan out allowed. Okay, well,
Now who's from the Midwest?
I'm Canadian. The Midwestern accent is basically Canadian. Oh, but I worked so hard to not have much of an accent. Oh, I worked so hard. Now it's my turn to talk about it. You already heard me talking about it. I talked about it with Veggie, and I said, no way, buddy. You're bringing an experience to the table. You're prepping everybody for what's going to happen. You're like, hey, check this out. We're going to do this fun thing that I'm excited to just see what kind of chaos I can bring to the table or supercharge your decks and take it from there. You know, I think that's so cool and so fun. Is it a deck that I hope he brings out every time we play? Absolutely not. Is it a deck that I hope to see every night that we get together and play? I don't know. Maybe. I think it can lead to a lot of interesting scenarios and situations. And as mentioned, the story is so important. It's so important. Build those memories and serve them up. So, VeggieWagon, that's 5-0. Not the bolus. 3 votes. 5-0. Not the bolus.
We got to have like a phrase or some sort of way to commemorate people who go either 5-0 or 0-5.
How about not the bolus and the bolus, or extra, or with extra sauce?
Sure, with extra sauce, you are not the bolus.
Okay, good. Extra saucy and not the bolus. We're still getting to know our own podcast here. Maybe we'll come up with, hey, if you have any ideas that you want to call it, go ahead and tell me. But I'm not doing the curse word ones. I'm not swearing on my own fucking podcast. Okay, that was just for fun. Oh, we're gonna get a bleep on that. Love it. It's time to move over to Michael Solani's segment. Michael, what do you got for us today? What do you want to talk about?
Guys, I am just like drowning in cardboard. Like I've got just so much cardboard because of course I have a lot of money and I use that to purchase no, but like I have just all this trash cardboard. It's just 50 million ops, you know, things that you get from just playing drafts, and it's your last pick, pack 3. It's you get one of those useless discard spells that no one likes, and I have to ask you the question: how do you sort all this stuff? Like what I do is I sort it by set, by collector's number.
Okay.
But I opened a box of like Avacyn Restored a couple months back, it is impossible to see the numbers on those things, especially on the red cards. It's just ridiculous. So I want to know how you guys sort it and if it's working for you.
Ooh, I keep it simple, baby. Give me the color, give me the mana cost, and give me the alphabetical. That's it. That's what we're working with. Oh, look at this. It's a 1-mana artifact with red in its color identity and an activated ability. That goes to the front of the red pile. Oh, it's a goblin that costs 1 red mana. That goes behind that artifact creature. Is it a card that costs 2 and red? Well, that's in the 4 slot on the red side. You know what I mean? But, Madcap comes before Zada. So that's how I do it. I keep it in the colors. I keep it alphabetical and the mana cost. That's how I do it. Morgan, what's your approach? What do you do for it?
I'm lucky if they make it to colors. I don't do any of the math or the alphabet or any of that other kind of nonsense that y'all do. I get a couple extra sleeves in between the ones that I like, the ones that I really like. I just bought, actually, a foil Torment Cabal Coffers and a foil 7th edition Necrologia from Dana Roach. So those super special cards go into the binder.
I on that one.
Yeah?
Ooh.
Were you my...
yeah, both those cards.
You were my fighter?
I wasn't the competing bidder because I didn't put it in, but
Dang.
I was absolutely looking at that foil Necrologia because I just bought a stack of them. Because my LGS hasn't had Necrologia in the LGS for a while.
Well...
And finally they got them. What a time. Can't believe that happened.
Speaking of organizing cards, I have another one somewhere.
Okay.
In a stack of other black cards that somehow made it into color-centric organized
Another
bits.
Foil Necrologia?
It's somewhere. And when I find it,
oh my God.
I will send it directly to you. Postage paid.
By me. I'm not taking no gift without me paying the postage. That's just how we do it up here, y'all.
You can send me a cob of corn, and I'll forward it to Solani, and everybody will be happy.
Just send me a cob of corn. What a note to end the episode on. Folks, that is that is another episode in the can of Am I the Bolcast? And don't say it. Don't say it. I swear to God.
I'm so sorry.
In the can. I know what you're about. I know what you're thinking. We've been talking about corn. Michael, where
do you want... guys, if we need another producer, so be sure to send in your applications. Why have I been roasting my co-hosts this entire episode?
Somebody's got to do it.
Better be nicer next week. Michael, where can people find you, and where would you like them to follow you on socials and such?
You can find all of my information at GamesFreakSA. That's the letters SA, not the word. GamesFreakSA.info. So go ahead and check out my socials there, as well as all the projects I do.
Perfect. Morgan, where would you like people to check you out and look at your socials and follow you and all that stuff?
I am perpetually on Twitter at Indigo Gentleman, talking about cars and things that annoy me.
All right. That sounds like what Twitter's for. As far as myself, you can check out my link tree. That's linktr.ee/Mike Carrozza, MikeCarrozza. And that's where you can find my Twitter account, my Instagram account. It's at Mike Carrozza. You can check out my comedy album, Cherubic. You can check out my next album when that happens. But most of all, you can check out my column at commandersherald.com called Am I the Bolus, where you'll also be able to read Michael's column, which he didn't mention how they brew it. One of the chef kisses of a column, I'll tell you what. And follow us at Am I the Bolcast. Am I the Bolcast is our Twitter account where I have it on my phone and I'm desperately waiting for somebody else to take it over instead. But for now, if you follow us, I'll know it. So please do that and keep up with us and our new episodes. Subscribe to us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to leave a review, leave a 5-star one. If you want to leave a review to be mean about it, send me a personal message. Send it to me directly. I'll read it. It'll hurt more because it comes directly to my inbox, and you'll have achieved everything you wanted. So how about you do that instead of leaving something that might hurt the rest of us or, the podcast itself? Think about that. Think about it. That does it for the episode. I literally have not spoken to anybody else today, by the way. I went through the whole day. I spoke to you guys and then Veggie and then you guys again. And now I'm going to bed. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. Good night.